Well, hello there, everybody. Well, hopefully everything's coming through okay. I don't think there's any echoes. So I think we got all that stuff solved. Okay, let me just grab my notes. Okay, so we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So all of your messages should come in. Oh, hang on. I got to fix my chat. There we go. Okay, so today is November 23rd. So it's November 23rd, 2023. As of today, I've been carnivore for 312 days. And I'm just going to get rid of these headphones. Sorry about that, folks. So just a little bit of an update. I've been doing some treatments with my thyroid. So I've got my NAC and selenium again. So I had been out of that for about 3 weeks or so. And I definitely noticed the difference in a hurry. It only took 3 or 4 days for the diarrhea to come back pretty full bore. But now that I've been back on it a few days, it's my stools are starting to go back more to normal. And some of the little bit of weakness and fatigue I was getting seems to be resolving. So I get a few questions from time to time about people or from people about what I'm doing to treat my thyroid because I'm not taking a prescription medication. So basically, my daily regimen for my thyroid is I take a cup of hot water and I throw in a teaspoon of powdered ginger root and a tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar. I personally use Bragg's. And I put in like a eighth of a teaspoon of Himalayan salt, but you could use whatever salt you like. And lately I've been putting in, like a spoon of butter. Now, there's a couple good things about having the butter. It gives you that little shot of fat. So if you're doing this later in the day when maybe you're getting a little hungry, that'll help curb that. And the fat also helps to reduce the spiciness of the ginger. And then twice a day, I take a capsule of NAC with selenium, 600 milligrams each capsule. So I take that once in the morning and once in the evening. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of the what, why, and how much to eat on carnivore. This is questions I get quite a bit. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the carnivore diet, it's pretty simple. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. So basically, for a full carnivore, you eat meat, water, salt, some electrolytes, and then, if you need the odd little supplements like I do, you can add those in as well. So I don't eat any vegetables. I don't eat plant matter of any kind except in a medicinal context. Now, a lot of carnivores, they don't think any type of plants should be used, but there are some health benefits to some very specific medicinal plants. If it's something that you don't react to and it has a benefit for your health, then why not use it? That's my philosophy. Use whatever works. So now, to give you an example, typically, most mushrooms are known to have about 100 different toxic chemicals in them, like just the standard mushrooms you get at the store. But when it comes to medicinal mushrooms, there seems to be some differences. And I've used medicinal mushroom extract as a health support for my immune system for quite a while. Long before I went on carnivore, just the use of the medicinal mushroom extract supporting my immune system helped to negate some of the effects of the immune suppressants I was on because of all the autoimmune diseases that I was under care for at that time. So that was a big help. It was a really big help when I had COVID last October. Not last month, but the year before. So like 13 months ago, approximately. My wife and I got COVID, and I was pretty sick for about 3 or 4 days, but then I started really loading up on the mushroom extract. I had actually just run out when I got COVID, so I had to send somebody to get me some more. And within a few days, that's started helping significantly. So I also use that other times. If I start coming down with a sore throat or something, which granted happens very rarely since starting on carnivore. But my wife works at the hospital. She brings home a lot of bugs from work, and sometimes it'll start to hit me, but I take a couple of big doses of the mushroom extract and it's gone the next day, like just completely gone. It's very rare that it's not gone the next day. It does happen, but it's pretty rare. Another question I get an awful lot with eating carnivore is how much fat do you need? So typically it's recommended, especially when you're first starting out until you get a feel for it, it's recommended that you have 30% by volume of fat compared to the meat that you're eating. Your body can't benefit all that much from the protein coming from the meat if you don't have the fat to go with it. And yes, it's dense with a lot of calories, but it doesn't hit your body the same way as calories from sugar and standard American diet type foods, processed foods, that kind of thing. The calories don't work the same way. The doctors will try and tell you different, but I've got a lot of experience with this. I've had issues with weight for a long time. I've lost a lot of weight in the last couple of years, so it's just kind of the way it works. The more fat I was eating, especially when I first started carnivore, the faster I was dropping weight. So, and one of the common questions I get is, do you only eat meat? Like, really? Yes, really. Sometimes I'll add, if I'm just feeling things are a little bland, maybe I'll throw in a tiny bit of granulated garlic. Or, I'll use some smoked salt. I really like, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the stuff I've got. Malden's. Yeah, Malden's smoked salt. I just got some more in. And, there's some basic things you can do. Of course, I use a lot of salt. Most people would look at the amount of salt I use and just freak. But, I go through like a 1 gallon tub of Himalayan salt, like every 2 to 3 months. And I also use, of course, the Malden smoked salt, and I also have kosher salt that I'll use, especially when I'm dry brining something. I'll tend to use the kosher salt more than the Himalayan salt. It just seems to do a better job with dry brining. The flavor's a little better with Himalayan, but it takes like twice as long for it to do the action that you normally get with the dry brining. So I just want to really quickly test something here in the background, folks. Yeah, I'm just confirming my chat's actually coming in. So one of the things that I've done a lot of going back and forth on is how often I eat. When I very first started carnivore, I was doing, I didn't know what it was called at the time, but I was doing something called TMAD, or 2 meals a day. And I was eating within a 6 hour window. So it was giving me like intermittent fasting. And I did that for the first while. And then later on, I switched to OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. And that worked pretty well. And oh, yes, Rhonda says Himalayan steak is, or sorry, Himalayan salt is great on steak. And yes, it absolutely is. Oh, I forgot to put my little chat sharing thing. Sorry, Rhonda, I was trying to put you up on screen in lights, but it's not working on this screen. And yes, I absolutely love it on steak. Himalayan salt is wonderful. It's my favorite next to the occasional treat of the smoked salt, but Himalayan's definitely my main favorite. So after we moved, I kind of re-injured my back during the move, and I was laid up in quite a bit of pain for a while. And I was also fighting off, being out of the supplements. So my body just started craving food, sometimes 3 times a day, occasionally 4 times a day. And I thought for sure I was going to start packing on weight again because when my thyroid gets out of whack, of course, I don't lose weight. Sometimes I'll, gain a pound or two, but I'll hover up and down quite a bit. And I didn't. I didn't gain weight when I was eating 3 or 4 times a day, but the more I ate, the faster my back healed. And I was also suffering side effects of a lot of stress. It was starting to flare some of my autoimmune stuff. So I had to really try and get a handle on that stress and dealing with the pain, and just eating more meat seemed to do that. It accelerated the healing. So right now I'm eating TMAD, so 2 meals a day, and I'm probably going to do that for a while. I was actually watching a video a little while ago from Dr. Chaffee, and he was talking about, the there are a lot of benefits to intermittent fasting and people doing OMAD, but there's more benefit for people when they're not actually carnivore, because it helps to kind of get the insulin and stuff out of their system so that they can process protein and fats again properly. But if that's all you're eating, then Dr. Chaffee says there's not as much benefit to doing, the intermittent fasting thing, even if you're trying to lose weight. If you're trying to lose a ton of weight and you're trying to do it fast, you can do that. But one lesson I've learned is not to tie myself to the weigh scale, because even though I haven't actually really lost any poundage for the last couple of months since the move, my clothes are still getting bigger. So, my body is still reshaping a bit, and I'm not really that active at this point. My back's been too bad. It's gotten a lot better. So, like I said on the last test stream, I've got the paperwork I need to go back and renew my membership at the gym. So, um, I'm probably just going to hold off until after the Christmas stuff is all done, all that silliness. Yeah, get that out of the way, and then I'll go back and start going to the gym. That will kind of be my New Year's thing, and hopefully I can start getting this weight back off again. So another common thing that we hear a lot of is, won't high cholesterol kill you? And the short answer is, if you're a carnivore, no. If you're eating a standard American diet with sugar and processed foods, and yeah, high cholesterol is dangerous. And here's why. The LDL cholesterol molecule.
Okay, I found this on the web for if you're eating standard
Sorry
American
about that.
diet, sugar processed foods.
Sorry, for some reason Siri just suddenly decided to ask a question or make a comment or something. So the LDL molecule. So when you eat sugar or processed foods or seed oils, anything like that, basically if it's not meat, and if you're eating it, it changes the molecular structure of the LDL cholesterol molecule, and it actually makes it a little denser and a little smaller, and it no longer protects you like it's supposed to, and can actually start, building up clots and stuff like that. But if you're carnivore, the shape of that molecule is different. It's bigger, it's lighter, it's fluffier. And that's actually a term that the researchers use. And when it's in that state, it actually protects you from getting buildup in your arteries or heart disease or any of those types of things that, the standard Western doctor tries to convince you of. They've just got, most of them have bad information, unfortunately. A couple things to remember is the brain uses cholesterol directly. So out of all the cholesterol that's in your body, the brain uses or contains 25% of all the cholesterol that's in your body. And the brain itself, all the brain cells are about 2% cholesterol, and they can't survive without that cholesterol. Another comment we hear a lot about is, oh, your body requires sugar. You have to have sugar. Well, your body will produce any sugar that you need from the meat that you're eating. So you don't have to ingest outside sources of sugar. And sugar will actually trigger the same part of the brain that heroin and cocaine and those types of hard drugs activates the same part of the brain. And if you get certain types of sugar, like that fructose, for instance, it actually hits the brain twice as hard, affects twice as large of an area as just regular sugar, which is why so many of the big companies use it. What else we got here? Also something else that's very important, and this is one of the primary reasons carnivore works so well. Your mitochondria feeds on cholesterol. Now, your mitochondria is what heals your cells. So the mitochondria goes in and they'll look at every cell in the body, and if it's abnormal or damaged, it'll either repair it or destroy it and get rid of it. And then it can create a new cell that works properly. And if it doesn't have the cholesterol coming from proper sources of meat and fat, then that mitochondria doesn't work properly, and that's why people get unhealthy and get chronic disease and cancer and all these types of things, because that mitochondria gets damaged by all the sugar and processed foods. So high cholesterol is actually a very healthy thing when you're a carnivore. And, this kind of leads to that same question: won't meat and fat cause cancer or heart disease? So we've already kind of talked about that. So I don't know how many of you that are watching this live stream know much about my history. So if you didn't catch it right at the very beginning, I went carnivore January 16th, 2023. So as of today, I've been carnivore 312 days. So the reason I started carnivore was I stopped losing weight, and I've been doing keto. And now at my heaviest, I was about 540 pounds. Over a few years, I got that down to around the 480 mark. And then, I lost a bunch of weight back in 2019 on keto, and then the worldwide silliness hit, and I kind of got depressed, and I went off my keto diet, and I ballooned back up to 480. And so about a year and a half ago, I guess now, I went back on keto and I was also going gluten-free. I was having a lot of issues with gluten. And, I started losing weight. It was coming off pretty good. And then I got stuck at 391, couldn't move beyond it. And as a result of doing some praying, asking for, to be guided to a solution, a couple of days later, I found the carnivore diet, a video by Dr. Barry. And it immediately hit me that this was the answer I was looking for. And within a few days of starting carnivore, I was losing weight again. So right now I'm hovering around, the 325 range. Sometimes I'm down to 322. Sometimes I'm up to 328, which has kind of been hovering up and down the last couple of months. Which, not a big deal. I'm not putting fat back on or anything. And, things are still, kind of healing, especially now that my thyroid is getting the support it needs. So I noticed some other immediate results from the carnivore diet. I've got 8 autoimmune diseases. 5 of them are very serious. The worst one is called myasthenia gravis, causes severe muscle weakness and is often fatal, especially if left untreated. If you don't get treatment, it's always progressive and fatal. So it's pretty nasty disease. And I've also got, osteoarthritis and ankylosing spondylitis and, some others. I could read the whole list off to you, but it doesn't really matter. Suffice it to say, lots of autoimmune issues, lots of other chronic health issues. And I noticed it started resolving within, a couple of weeks. The osteoarthritis in my hands, I got up one day, went to grab some stuff, and noticed that my hands weren't swollen anymore. They weren't red, they weren't inflamed, and I could actually move them. I had dexterity in my hands again. And that was just after a couple of weeks on carnivore. It was pretty amazing. And by the time I was a month on carnivore, all signs of my myasthenia gravis was gone. I mean, it had been slowly getting better, but I mean, if I had to climb a set of stairs, I was in big trouble and couldn't move off the couch for 3 hours due to the muscle weakness. But, 3 weeks on carnivore, and I could walk upstairs like a fairly normal person, aside from being, so out of shape. But, out of breath at the top, but I was fine, 5 or 10 minutes later. So that's when my wife became a believer. She had a lot of doubts. There was a lot of bad information out there that we've been kind of brainwashed with over the years. So she wasn't very supportive at first, but when she saw the results, what it was doing for me, she became a believer. She'd been trying to go carnivore, but she's still having some issues sticking to the diet completely. She's still having some cravings for some fruits and berries, that kind of thing, and the odd little bit of junk food. But I mean, we all have to do it at our own pace. We all have to do what we're ready for, what we're capable of. And I just, it's not like I'm strong or overly determined than the next person. It's just that I had a lot of incentive. Many, many years of a lot of bad health. I was actually bedridden for 10 years after the myasthenia gravis took hold really bad. And, my life was a living hell. It wasn't really living. It was just existence. And, a lot of problems with depression and anxiety and those kinds of things, as well as everything else. And, carnivore has helped with all of that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's been absolutely peachy and everything's been going great since I started this journey. There's been some huge changes and major benefits. The direction of my life has completely changed. We were able to give up the wheelchair apartment. And I remember the day that my wheelchair went back, that was a pretty emotional day for me. And then another one was leaving that wheelchair accessible apartment and moving into a regular, normal apartment. And that those are some pretty big milestones for me. But I've certainly had my issues as well. So we have to take the time that we need. When we start getting stressed, or things aren't going the way we would like them to go, sometimes we just need to stop and take a breath and find some ways to deal with the stress and anxiety. I've learned firsthand the last couple of months how much stress can really negatively affect our body, whether that's mental stress, physical, emotional, spiritual. It all has an effect. So it's something we've all got to deal with. So if you guys want to ask me some questions, or anything in particular you want me to talk about, we've been streaming about a little over half an hour, so we've got a little more time if you guys want to ask some questions. If not, I'm going to show you a couple of web pages here. So I've got a couple of pages, just articles, and I've linked these down in the description. So if you want to take a look at these articles for yourself. So this is talking about how often you should eat on carnivore. And, if you're not trying to lose weight, I would say just eat when you're hungry and eat until you're full. It's going to take a while before your body really knows how to understand what the satiety signals are, because they partly get suppressed when you're eating the standard American diet. See, there's actually two signals that signal you when you're full. The first one happens when you've got enough nutrition. But if you're not eating nutritious food, or you're eating foods that suppress that signal, like legumes, stuff like that, you won't get that first signal. And the second signal doesn't happen until your stomach is just about ready to burst. So many of us, when we go on carnivore, it takes us a while to really understand how to tell when we're full. Typically, a good way to tell is if the food suddenly stops tasting good, even if you don't feel full. You're full. Your body's gotten enough nutrition, and it's trying to signal you, say, hey, I don't need any more, so that's why it isn't tasting good. So that's the All Things Carnivore website. And then we've got another good resource. You can go in here and take a look. They've got like diet plans and stuff like that. They explain to you what is the carnivore diet and some of the things you can eat. And there are a couple of videos here. So we've got one from Dr. Anthony Chaffee. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's a neurosurgeon. He was trained in the U.S. He works out of Australia now. He's been carnivore for many years. And he has some of the best information to be had, him and Dr. Barry. So I've learned an incredible amount from them, and Dr. Sean Baker and Dr. Timothy Noakes. They've all got some really good information. But I'll make sure I put a link for this in the description. Actually, they should already be in the description. And there's this guy. He's got some pretty good information about how to figure out how much to eat and how often, that kind of a thing. This is Carnivore Muscle. And I also want to give a little bit of a shout out to the Carnivore Diet movie. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about this, but this is actually a documentary that's being made by Carrie at Homestead How. And he's got some incredible people that he's been doing some interviews with. Bill Knott from Alaska. If those of you who've heard of him, he's been carnivore. I think about 4 months now, and he's lost a big chunk of weight. I mean, he was about 700 pounds when he started. So yeah, he's making some amazing progress. Right now he's having kind of a bit of a health scare. They're trying to, they're doing some MRIs and some other tests trying to figure out what's going on. But hopefully that gets settled. But back to the movie here, a good high quality movie like this where the intention is that when it's done, it's going to be on Netflix. So they're going to be following a group of carnivores for a full year to see, how they live their lives and what it's doing for them, and kind of really get into the deep stuff about the carnivore diet. And making a movie like this costs a lot of money to make. So he's done a few fundraisers, and I really support what he's doing. I love what he's doing here. I've actually applied to be in the documentary. I may be, I may not be. Nothing's for sure yet, one way or the other. I've had a couple of preliminary interviews, but they haven't made any decisions yet. So, but whether I'm in it or not, I still support what he's doing, and I think everybody should try and take a look. So there's a link in the description for that as well. And if you haven't, check out his channel. He's got a great YouTube channel. That's Homestead How, and you'll really get a lot of good stuff there. So, hope you guys got some good information today. And if you don't have any more questions, I'll probably call it here. Now, I've got some interviews that are coming up. I've got a couple of interviews. Well, one interview we're kind of tentatively booked to redo when I was having all those sound issues. So that's going to be Matthew Tull, the Bold Carnivore. So I'll be interviewing him again. And the first interview that I did that also had some issues, not as bad, but it had some issues too, with Roger Kaya. I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm going to check with him and see if he's willing to redo his interview. And then I've got an interview coming up in December with the Poco Moonshine family with JT. So that should be a lot of fun. He interviewed me a while back, and he's got a great setup there. He does some good interviews. He puts out a lot of great information, and he like a lot of others in the community, he really tries to get out there and help as many people as he can. So if there's no questions from the peanut gallery, so to speak, don't mean that in a bad way. But, I always appreciate having you here, checking things out. And if you have any suggestions for topics or questions for future episodes, please make sure to let me know. You can leave a comment in the description wherever you're watching this. So I usually try and stream Thursday nights at 6, now that I've kind of got everything up and running and working properly now. Some interviews, with people that are from overseas, like the Bold Carnivore, for instance. He's out of Indonesia, so there's like a 13-hour time difference. So when I do his live stream, it's going to be 6 in the morning, Mountain Standard Time. We're on Mountain Standard Daylight Time right now, actually. So hopefully that's going to be next Thursday. I'm still waiting to hear back from him on that. And I've got some other topics I'm working on for some upcoming streams. They're not all going to be interviews. So some streams will be interviews, some won't. I'm probably going to be, as I get busier, I'm probably going to be adding maybe Monday nights. Not sure yet. So, if you have any particular requests or anything, make sure to let me know. And we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.